want to talk about the current state of skateboarding. I don't know how this video is going to come out. This audio quality might suck. Some wind going on, some cars driving by. But I want to talk about the current state of skateboarding. And this concept I've been thinking on the past year, or two really, of think globally, act locally. I also think that a lot of folks have this doomer mindset. You know, I don't know if you've been blessed to have your grandparents or aunts and uncles or older folks around, but I feel like older generations think, this next generation's screwed. Right? Like, almost thinking we had it better. And I think skateboarding right now is in one of the best places it could be, yet also one of the worst places it's been. So it's sort of in a paradox, right? I also feel like I have a lot of shit to talk. And it's time I just start talking my shit. I have so much to say, and I've realized that the last few years, when I go and tell friends, family, acquaintances, kind of about the knowledge I have in this skateboarding universe, whether it be with skate park designs or current status of skateboard industry superstars, whether they are losing sponsorships, gaining sponsorships, results. A lot of people just don't care. Right? And that's okay. I've learned to take that with a grain of salt, and I've realized that the folks who are blessed enough with a community that will listen has a lot of responsibility. And then I realized, like, wow, I've also curated this community of folks who will listen to me in real life. And a lot of this just sounds like nonsense, right? But I feel like I need to get it out loud, put it into the universe. Because if it's just in here, it'll drive you crazy. Kind of like it's been driving me crazy. So I wanted to take some time every morning and get the creative out first. And I think the creative will be with these videos. This one's a little bit of a slower start in terms of topic we're covering. But, I'm going to sip my coffee, and I hope you can enjoy me and some good conversation. So back to the think globally, act locally, right? I think that's a good thesis to base my projects on and base future media around. Because future media exists to spread skateboarding. And I love this skateboarding shit, man. What I mean by think globally, act locally, right? So, I have a problem in my hometown of Danbury, Connecticut, of our skateboard community having a shitty park. And then just saying that is not just complaining, it's fact of the matter, right? So, what do I mean by a shitty park? We have a prefabricated skate park that was implemented. I'm not going to say built, because you don't build prefab, you buy prefab. And what is prefab? Prefab is, that metal sheet and skate light wood that is just like bought by a third party, a subcontractor, takes the bid to the city, and they kind of finesse the municipality, the city government, into paying 2-3x for it. And then these bozos come in to a city and leave a curse. In fact, I've read before in the public skate park guideline that the Tony Hawk Project, the skate park project, put together, that the best skate park designers in the world will say a city's better off putting in no park at all than putting in prefab. Because when you put in prefab, it really is like a virus. You know, you build a bad place, you put bad things around kids or community, and bad things will happen. And Danbury was not even kind of was. Danbury was a proof of concept where we had a bad, shitty park and it like thrived for a little bit, and then just bad things happened there, man. And I took it upon myself a few years ago to like, let's turn this shit around, right? And my friend group and my homies, and we started throwing these Go Skate Day events, right? And incredible. And I'm like, wow, this think globally, act locally is like coming into fruition. So, more on the skate park later. I wanted to focus this video and this talking out loud on the concept of think globally, act locally. Like I keep saying it, right? So what does that mean? Globally now, let's look at skateboarding. Bigger than ever in terms of market share. The adoption of it has been incredible. I'll make another video one day on the history of skateboarding's death waves. Because from my understanding, let's think decades, right? We're in 2020s right now, 2025. Wow. Skateboarding's probably founded in like 2010, 2000s, 90s, 80s, 70s, 60s, somewhere around here, right? So not even 75 years ago. Skateboarding's founded, no one knows by who, surfers, whatever. There's that whole story of no one knows who made it. Clay wheels were put on surfboards, whatever. Maybe in the 50s even. Took about a decade for some industry to come in and start mass producing these products. And then Southern California government started saying, oh, this is incredible, let's build a bunch of skate parks. Skate parks are popping out everywhere in like the, let's say like 70s. In about like 5 years, they're all destroyed and taken apart because the government was like, oh wow, we can't have this liability of this insurance over our head. So that's the first death wave. It's like popping for a little bit, dead. And then I think it fizzles in like the 80s and 90s, kind of doing a little bit of this. Probably early 2000s is the next rise. I could be wrong, but I think it's early 2000s. You know, Mike Moe, Girl Skateboards, Pretty Sweet, Lakai. Every core skater out there. For those who don't know, I've been skateboarding 15 years, more or less, I think. And that rise was amazing. I don't really know what triggered that death wave. This video would be cool to make for sure. I'm gonna put that on the video to-do list. So, second death wave, culture hates it. And then culture vultures, you know, greedy, corporate, venture capitalists, sticky fingers start seeing the skateboarding in the Olympics headline. Which I think is sick, by the way. Not the greedy, corporate, sticky finger, venture capitalist, culture vultures, but the Olympics. Like I was saying, pre-Olympics. So Olympics happened in 2020, Tokyo, but it was really 2021 because of COVID. And I remember like leading up to that, just being so excited and saying like, I need to stream reaction to this. I need to make all these videos. And I didn't do shit. But what I did was enjoy it, indulge in it, and like share with my friends and the people around me how excited I was. And we got to watch it together. And I was like, this is incredible. And now that's the final wave. And this shit is just rocketing to the moon right now. Because it allowed the household to see a professional. And for those who skate out there, you know this isn't a sport. This is a lifestyle. This is an art. This is a beautiful, beautiful thing we do, and an expression, a way to escape, a way to enjoy yourself, a way to spend time with friends, a way to spend time away from friends, away from problems, a way to deal with more problems. Skateboarding is a very love-hate relationship. And we're on this final rise now where it's just shooting, and I'm like, think globally, act locally, think globally, act locally. Globally adopting. Anyone can come in now and take part of that market share. Where then I think like I can't be a sellout, and that's been a struggle I've had the past maybe 6 months, where I think any creative out there knows you get this sort of identity crisis. And you're like, what am I doing? But back to that whole, if you're privileged enough to have a community, do good by it, right? And I think I have been doing good by it with these Go Skate Day events. But there's way more cooking. Way more cooking because, not to get too personal, but I've also always been like fake American, fake Brazilian. I say that with a grain of salt because I've always had confidence, you know. I'm blessed and privileged to say that I've always had confidence, but I think everyone struggles a little bit, even if you do have a lot of confidence, with the idea of like, who am I? And then you come of age and you're like, I gotta get a job and all these societal standards. But bro, no one gives a fuck. You know, like everyone's worrying about themselves. So don't be afraid of like, put out these videos, do what you gotta do what you know you want to do actually. Because you don't gotta do shit. Like, yeah, you gotta survive, and like, we struggle in being in survival mode and thinking like, I have to get to another point before I can go do that creative, and I think that's the total opposite. So as I think globally, act locally, I'm gonna keep throwing these events. We're partnering out here with the Parks and Rec department. I got more to talk about that, right? Like, how did I get to that point where I'm almost in this like fake identity again, right? I'm like, whoa, I'm selling out skateboarding to the local government because I want to build a park? No, we're compromising. And that's part of life, motherfuckers. You gotta compromise. Doesn't mean you can't get what you want done. We're gonna get this skate park built out here, public park, concrete. And as I keep throwing local events, I'm thinking globally. Future Media will be a global company. I'm gonna be in Brazil, 2025, Street League Championship. And we're gonna be interviewing, we're gonna be talking our shit, and we're gonna keep dropping these videos. Thank you for tuning in, sipping coffee with me. Because the last thing I'll mention about think globally, act locally, is the same little problems you see in your local community of skateboarding has been happening hundreds, if not thousands of times over in little micro communities all around the world. We all speak the same language of skateboarding. So these problems that we have of like no parks available, and like, I'm a street skateboarder, bro, like, right? Like, I'm bitching about parks right now, but like, there's levels to this. Not enough funding, not enough support. It's at the high level of industry impact too. So now, where I see myself, like, you know, you shouldn't come to people with problems, by the way. You should come to people with solutions. And the solution I see is like, there needs to be a bridge between industry support, where like all these big companies, how can they, you know, trickle down into your local community and give out free shit? It's through curating relationship, right? So I want to be that bridge now, where I realize I've become that bridge from my local government to my local community. But how do you get all that industry sponsor and support, right? You need a skate shop. And now I think about locally Connecticut. Like, we have been having skate parks popping up left and right the last 2 years. Like, that is so incredible. We got Norwalk Skate Park built last year, Naugatuck Skate Park built 2 years ago, Torrington Skate Park just built this year. One more being built right now. I forget the name. It's like a silly name. I'll put it right here. But you know, I knew Danbury Skate Park should have been built 5 years ago. We got some of the best skaters out here, but I'm glad it didn't, because shit takes time. And if we act locally and keep thinking globally, we know we can make a bigger impact. Because all problems are interpersonal problems. Same problems you have happened hundreds of thousands of times over. So I think it's important to zoom out, get yourself out of your head. And for me, it's doing this. Sure, like, friends will think you're cringy, corny, but like, there's so many supporters out there in your circle that you probably don't even know about that will show love and build you up, and lean in on those people. Those people are really important. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I'm gonna do one of these every day. Cheers. Pour a little drip out for the homies, you know, all the lost homies. Shama.